The average American was estimated to commit 3 felonies per day. At least that is according to a civil rights lawyer who wrote a book in 2009 called 3 Felonies a Day, which talks about how broad and expansive the American federal justice system is and how many complex and interconnected laws there are. He argued in that book that many Americans every day in their professional life, for example, unintentionally commit things that are technically crimes and specifically felonies. The core argument is that prosecutorial discretion, or prosecutors deciding when to bring charges against people, has really replaced the rule of law. And the idea that if prosecutors look hard enough and long enough, they can go after anyone for a crime. And the reason I bring this up is because when we look at the news right now, and we hear, for example, that there is so much pressure being put on prosecuting James Comey, I think a lot of people look at that and they sort of excuse the situation because Comey's a public figure. He's not particularly super popular on both on the left and the right, to be honest with you. But it does genuinely appear that there's a lot of pressure being put on prosecutors to bring charges against him. The point is, this can happen to any one of us if we don't push back against this. If we don't reject political prosecution, it quite literally can come for you. It just is a matter of when and how and what small unintentional thing that you did in this vast network of federal criminal statutes that you could have unintentionally, without intent, committed a crime. Selective prosecution is a stain on American democracy. But don't just think that because it's happening to a public figure that you are at no risk. In fact, because it's happening to a public figure, because they're choosing to make examples out of people, that simply orchestrates the fact that you're actually much more at risk. And don't assume that because you think you haven't done anything wrong, that if someone looks hard enough, they can't find at least the appearance that you have done something wrong. And if you've never encountered the criminal justice system, there's a classic saying, which is, you can beat the rap, but you can't beat the ride. What that essentially boils down to is the idea that, yeah, you might be charged with a crime and you might go through the court system and you might be found not guilty, but you'll still probably go to jail. You'll have to deal with all the things that happen with that, which is like potentially losing your job, money, your reputation. All of those things could be destroyed. That's why the rule of law is important. That's why it matters. And that's why prosecutorial discretion, or prosecutors deciding and targeting people, is such a stain on the concept of democracy. So don't look the other way just because you don't happen to like the person who is being criminally prosecuted selectively. Because you never know what your 3 felonies might have been today.